Truth is, I'm tired. Tired.
Okay. So in 5, 4, 3, 2. That is it. All right. So first, we're doing this because I know that you and I have been having conversations, me and Glenn.
Yes.
Or me and Lenny for this particular thing.
Get it together.
Let's get it together.
It's mine.
And you said that you two have been having these conversations as well.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been having these conversations, but the topic of discussion is what do we do about the division between black men? Okay, it's picking me up.
Okay.
Yeah, between black men and black women during this time. What I have seen, what we've all seen really, is that it seems that whenever something happens on a nationwide scale, visibly, where a black man has been gunned down by police unjustly or something of that nature, we try to handle that and we try to bring attention to that, and then somewhere along the line things get skewed and people start to bring in, I don't want to say outside agendas, but they start to take the main agenda and branch it off into other agendas. For example, Breonna Taylor. And the fact that everyone has been saying, don't forget about Breonna Taylor, don't forget about her, say her name, the cops still haven't been arrested, all that kind of stuff, and you guys are not doing a good job. And they start to say that you guys, meaning black men, are not doing a good job of protecting black women. And that we need to do a better job, because when a black man does get killed by the police or for whatever reason, black women, which is proven, are the first ones to come out and support and protest and shout to the hills. But as a whole, black men have not done the same thing for black women. My issue, where these men at? Because in my experience, in my lifetime, I have not seen the disrespect and the non-protecting of black women that so many black women is saying is happening. So I'm going to shut up now and ask you what your experience has been in that area.
Come on, doozy.
That was a good one. A really juicy one. I feel that, especially at this time, it's very clear that my wonderful black men are not fully there for black women protecting us to the full capacity. I agree with that in a lot of ways. One, the generations are different than they are now. So if we go back to the time frame of our parents, 60s and the 70s, it was there. It was prominent. It was present. You know, if a sister was walking down the street, you know, and guys were trying to holler at her, and maybe it was a little disrespectful, or they came towards the woman, they tried to physically, you know, get her to talk. There were brothers that were, yo, hold up, wait a minute. What are you doing? And it would straighten that out. That strength in itself, that resilience that we have of each other, you know, doesn't exist anymore.
Does it not exist, or do you not see it?
I feel that it doesn't exist, because if it existed to the capacity, it would be missing in the first damn place.
Okay.
Because it also has to deal with the generation of mothers. Let's go there, because I have a son. Now, for how I'm raising him, he knows he's already a gentleman. He's been opening the door for me since he was 4 years old. He was trying.
Can you reach?
Right. But he knows what all that is. For his grandmother, the same thing. He sees that due to my father and his grandfather, certain things that are implemented into him, and then he makes it very clear. You watch out for your mother. You watch out for your grandmother. Even when we're out, if my father's at work, you know, my son is with us, and we're somewhere he looks around, he's very observant. He shouldn't have to, but he's already there. He's already woke. He's already in that perspective of where and who he is. And I feel that when it comes to mothers who are raising black boys, you have to implement those types of morals and principles. And the gap with this generation is missing with morals and principles to be able to produce men to that capacity that are present, ready, and ready to protect. As black women, we're already ready to protect. Like, I will jack somebody up, somebody touch my son, you know how I am. So I will go for blood. Okay? Lose my damn mind. But when it comes to the retrospect of another black man, I can count them on my fingers. Of the willingness of protection. Or, like, I've been out, say, partying or whatever at a club. I'll give you a great example. Because with my girls, and we're out there, and, you know, guys, yeah, you know. So I'm like, no, don't come over here. But there was another group of young ladies, and those same guys actually came to them physically, touching them, doing things that I felt was so disrespectful, you know, and those young ladies were not as strong, and they were a little vulnerable, but the other guys that were present amongst that velvet rope did not do anything. There was security, but security is only working for looking at your license to make sure that you're of age to come into the facility.
Not that.
Interesting.
So it's a lot of things to me, like, why are you observing ignorance of your own kind? Well, you can't just step in, or in some retrospects, I feel like maybe some men feel like, well, it's none of my business, and if I do, then I'm going to get into it with brother man, and I don't want to do that. Or it might be a situation where it's a young lady going through it with a significant other of hers, and she might get upset. Why are you bothering my man or whatever? There's so many different retrospects, but I do wonder what's going on in people's heads, especially my brothers. Like, where are you? You know, I know you're there. I know you feel it. You might think it, but you might not know how to act on it either. That's another thing. So it's kind of like, you know, a double-edged sword to a degree. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's like a fear of, like, I want to be present. I want to do this.
But they don't know what
but
to
they
do.
don't know what to do. And they don't know what the outcome would be. Because even as sisters, I can say this, because I am a black woman, I can feel like it's none of your business. This is, you know what I'm saying? There's women that are that type, where this is what I'm dealing with, this is my situation. You know, it's none of your business, I'll get out of here. You know, there's women that are like that have that mentality too. So it's kind of like, how do we help one another? How do we go about this? But it's a lot of, it's those three different perspectives of the past, the now, and the two divisions of both African American women and African American men. You know, but first and foremost, those men came from black women, so it does bend off of what mama is teaching you, the root of what your purpose is.
Gotcha. I hear what you're saying with that too.
Yeah.
I think it also comes up with how their upbringing is as well.
Yeah.
You have some kids who don't have a mom and who don't have a dad. So in that scenario right there, if they're only around their dad, maybe this is what they're looking at to see of how to handle a certain situation.
Right.
Whereas if they're with their mom, then they're going to act totally different because they see how, you know what I mean, what you're saying with the
it's like influence, and it is generational. Like, that's something that you said that really resonated.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
If you go back in the day, there's a complete, just not
Yes.
even gender based,
Absolutely.
but just on a respect level
There was a
of
love
how
in the
people
community.
exactly.
Absolutely.
There was a love in the community because
Community.
everybody was connected,
Yes.
and because everybody was connected, they treated each other differently.
Yes.
Absolutely.
When I was talking to my father today,
Mhm.
we were talking about policing and, you know, reforming the police and all that kind of stuff, and we were talking about how if the police actually came from the towns they're policing, and he said that in Japan, I think what they do is, and this was beautiful, he said in Japan, on their police force, one of the things that they train the police officers to do is flower arrangements. because it teaches them to be mindful of their surroundings and to care and respect for their surroundings. And so when they're policing those places that they are actually from, the best way to police is to know who you're policing. So if the store owners know who you are, if the residents, if you can get to them, if they know who you are, then they'll be more trusting of you when there is an altercation. So that way, you're not just coming in guns blazing. You're coming in knowing who's having the issue and how to diffuse it because you know that person's personality. And then they're trusting you because you've now made it a point to get to know who they are. So they might diffuse the situation because it's like, oh, Officer so-and-so, I know him. I know he's not going to hurt us. I know he's here to just help. I'm mad right now, but I know I can cool off because he's cool with me. So it's that whole thing of like knowing each other that we just don't seem to have anymore.
And I think also with that not knowing each other, not enough people do what we're doing right now, which we're talking and we're talking face to face. A lot of the times that you'll see, everyone's talking through their phones. So
interaction has changed.
It's changed
through the generations.
So
I mean, it really has stopped with millennials. You know what I mean? Millennials got the introduction of computers and chat rooms and
so
all kinds of other things. And so even I remember growing up, walking the streets, you walk past somebody, hey, what's up, how are you, boom, boom, boom. At least you always had that respect. Nowadays, everybody just kind of like...
Because now I don't want to talk to nobody.
Right.
Which is
and
crazy.
I felt the same way many of times where it's just like, you know, you mind your business. And but where did that go? You know what I mean? Because initially when it goes back to what you just said, just about community alone, if you know who your neighbors are, you have a sense of protection, of protecting what you know and what you care for, you know? So it's like, that's an amazing point.
That really is a big factor of knowing each other and having a sense of community. So that way, protecting each other is not something that you have to think about.
No.
It's inherent to you because that is your community.
Exactly.
Like, I've lived here now for it'll be 6 years next year. I don't know anybody on the street. I don't talk to anybody on the street. And the only people that I know is my landlord that lives downstairs. And that's it. I have no desire to really talk to anybody else on the street, but I don't think anybody else has really had a desire to talk to me. And I don't know if that's because of what the climate is of this area. I don't know if that's just because of social media connections and the internet and all that kind of stuff. But if something was to happen to someone down the street, I might look out the window, but I wouldn't necessarily have compassion or care to get involved, you know?
And that's funny that you said that because literally, like, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 days ago, I actually found someone in my neighborhood who is an activist in the area, and I was like, I want to be involved with that. Because just like what you said, I don't know anyone on my street. I know a couple of people, but they don't really know you. So I said, I want to be able to get in the community so that people will know me and I can get to know people in the community. Because, like you said, if something happens, it's just like, oh, okay.
It's funny too because where I work, literally everybody in a radius of where I live all work pretty much in the same vicinity. Like 2 people that I work with live down the street. Like they're about 6 houses down, right? Kev and all of them. Like you know what I mean? So like it was bizarre to me that I work 5 towns over.
Right there.
4 towns over, and if it wasn't for their job, I would not have known who they are.
So let me ask you this question.
You know what I mean? And then it kind of makes you go, okay, wow, okay, so there is more work.
There's
that
much
needs
more work
to be done.
So let me ask you this question, Cori. You said that you really don't see it. And I guess my question would be, do you think that it does more damage than good to highlight what you don't see or to praise what you do see? And I ask that question because if you go on social media, everyone is always saying the negative aspects of things. And I actually saw a conversation on Facebook where a woman responded to a guy And he was like, there are dudes that are out here doing those things that you're asking us to do that are protecting you and all that kind of stuff. And she said, why would we highlight what you're supposed to do?
Wow.
We have to highlight what you're not doing so that people can know that that's being done. And in my thought, I was like, but that's still damaging because if people don't know what the positive example is, how can they know that there's something to...
Ignorant answer.
Okay, and I wanted to know what your thought was.
That's an ignorant as hell answer. That's butt backwards because, for one, Miss Thing, is she with a black man?
Who knows?
Is
she didn't say.
Is she involved with a black man?
She did not say.
Has she ever been involved, meaning
We don't know.
having a black man in her life in any way, shape, or form? Father, uncle, grandfather,
right.
great-grandfather. Somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even Peanut with his crazy self.
Right.
My point is, I can celebrate every black man that was a pillar in my family.
Mm-hmm.
I can celebrate the black men that I love dearly that I'm sitting in front of.
Mm-hmm.
I can celebrate the other male peers of mine that I've known since elementary school that have their own businesses, that are doing so much within the community and still have the same mindset of the type of conversation that we're having. So to answer that, I feel that you have to highlight what is the best and what is looking so grand about my black men who are always beat down and never feeling like they're worth much of anything, despite everything that they exude, despite the talents, despite how them just having certain jobs, them working hard, whatever, and being a father. That's the biggest thing. Like, my black men are gifted, they're beautiful, they're amazing. There's so many different elements of things that she could have said to that man instead of putting forth her own resentments.
And
wow.
Okay.
And the resentments
Thank you.
that a lot of black women do have are very harsh. Because if you're a strong black woman, your opinion is forefront, but there's no passion of looking at how your resentment
the whole picture.
Is putting a wall in front of what you're desiring to have for yourself.
You're basically looking at, and this is what I was saying, that you are looking at the personal issues that have happened to you personally, and then exuding all of that onto every other black man that you see.
It's
not.
That's not
My
fair.
father always said this. Even, amidst the circumstances I went through, I have from a failed marriage of my own, and I'm not happy with what transpired with that. I'm a single mom. I didn't ask to be a single mom. But what I will never do, amongst the counseling that I did have to receive during that time, and my father also implemented this, you cannot put the hurt and the baggage that you have gone through in any other black man. You have to make sure you sort out that laundry of your own.
Amen.
Even if you're carrying as many bags as you do, you have to get rid of one, drop one, sort it, even if you have mainly two, or carry on. But you can't implement yourself, your energy, and whoever you're attracted to or want to be with, you can never put your nonsense on them. And with the black man, it is very difficult when you have a strong black woman and she's forever doing this to your head, to your shoulders, to your back, just beating you. You're not doing this, but I need, but you ain't. And Nikki Giovanni said something, so she has so many things she said.
Yes.
But
right. I was like, which one she gonna pull out the bag?
But the perspective of when she was talking about how, that whole lie to me perspective, when she was like, you lying to the white man at work, you're you're out there wearing a face, but lie to me too. When you come home, lie to me, smile at me, use all that energy that you have to use from 7 a.m. till damn near 9, and you come home, but yet you're yelling at me, you're stressing at me, do that, because I want to be with you. I don't have you, they have you. You know what I'm saying? And when she said that, that made me, it almost teared up when I watched it, because I watched it more than once, but sitting there and really reflecting on that, and to see there's certain black women of certain statures that have talk shows, that might be politicians, that might have these different positions, and there are some, and most, that talk about black men.
Yeah.
Talk about black men. They don't lift up the black man. Because at this point in time, black women and black men are diverted because of society, and the family balance is not a picture, it's a memory.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
Wait, hold on. Where is the organ? Right, where is the organ? Because that shot up my back.
That was it.
It's a memory.
That was the word.
And it's hurtful because I want what my parents have. I want what my great-grandmother, my grandmother, I want what they have. I want that.
That is so amazing. And the reason why I feel emotional about that right now, no, it's crazy because all three of us, with the exception of you, are children of divorce.
Right.
Or failed relationships.
Yeah.
And that...
Yeah.
Cori, what you had just said, I literally just wrote a song about.
Are you serious?
I have never written my perspective of my feelings of how my parents' separation had affected me, and my whole picture of what love is.
And listen, we don't acknowledge enough.
Oh my God.
And even the fact that we were adults when it happened. Well, so I was an adult when my parents split up. You guys were still.
I think I was.
No, I was kind of.
You were like about to be in your.
I just came out of high school.
Yeah, out of high school. Yeah. Mine, I was already out of high school.
But it was still traumatic.
But that's the thing. Like, we don't really talk about what the breakdown of that picture of what the family's supposed to look like does to children,
and to the view,
and to
how to respect each other,
how to respect each other, what marriage and romance is supposed to look like, and it changes how we then deal in our own personal relationships, and all of that is at the root. Like, I hate to keep bringing her up, but this is a Tired Tuesdays experience. But that Dissect podcast about Lemonade, and then breaking that down about how this was less about her relationship with Jay-Z and more about the passing down of generational curses and the healing that needs to take place with black families in the black family structure. We don't understand that we didn't start this.
We did not.
We did not start this. This wasn't a derivative of slavery and the impact of the emasculation of men in front of black women, the raping of women in front of black men. And then making us feel like we couldn't save each other, which then caused resentment. And so then you just perpetuate this cycle of resentment and division and resentment and division, and we teach our children about resentment and division. We then,
but then also it's still white supremacy of breaking down of controlling the black family concept and idea, because I just recently, I can't remember the man's name, and I just recently started following him, digging into a lot of what he was saying. Oh my God, I can't even think of his name. But he was like that slavery truly didn't break the black family, and I was like, what is he about to say? Right. I was like, what is he about to say? And he goes, slavery didn't really break the black family because we were pushing through regardless. Even though these actions were happening, we were still getting married. We created concepts of jumping the broom. Like, you know what I mean? We had a way of our resilient, beautiful selves still rising above whatever we're given and finding joy in the midst of pain and suffering. It was when they started taking and destroying the black financial status of the black home, breaking down the factories and where all of these generations had been working at, because they knew that then, they're pushing through. Now the woman is at home, like, you can't put food on the table because you're supposed to be the man of the house. And I was like, okay, that's a different perspective that I never thought about. But at the same time, it's still
under
this
that umbrella.
idea of white supremacy.
Because it might not have been all black families that were affected by the rape and emasculation.
Right.
And it might not have been all black families that were affected by the financial side of it.
Right.
But either way, they're both under that guise of oppression.
It is.
Yeah.
And of us being under the foot of white supremacy.
And the only television concept that we had of a great black family was Fresh Prince and the Cosby Show.
And Family Matters.
Oh yes, Family Matters. Yes. Can't forget that.
Family
Matters too.
Yes.
But even with that, like, you know what I mean? That was also a time where we were still speaking to each other on the street.
And we were still being respectful because
even
with what's happening, even with like 227, everybody was on the stoop that everybody knew each other.
It was about unity. Everything was about unity. And everybody knew their neighbors from even on Family Matters. Folks was coming through. Steve Urkel was coming in the back door.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
you know?
like.
But there was this ideal that it was okay to be a black family. It was okay to see people like us on screen of affluence.
Right.
And yet, I know we talked about this before, but like, you see all the shows that used to be on UPN, they canceled the network.
Yeah.
Of course.
So now we don't have those examples anymore.
Yeah.
You know, no Parenthood.
Parent Trap.
I'm like,
that's a whole other.
I was like, you can't be talking about that one right
now. No, but then you see, and we're trying with shows like Blackish.
Yeah.
I know Tyler Perry is trying with the shows that he has, but a lot of his shows are more so about drama and not actually building up people. Like, I don't watch the Browns on a regular basis. I just
don't really
want
know, to be honest.
And what I've seen, it's more so funny than anything else. But like, what we are missing is the counteractive stuff to what's been done. And I think because we don't have that in droves, we do sit back into that mindset of, well, my great-great-great-granddaddy couldn't save my great-great-great-grandmother from the slave master raping her, so he ain't shit, so none of y'all are shit.
Exactly.
And because my mama's father didn't treat her right, she taught me not to trust no man. So, and since my baby daddy left me, I'm not going to trust you. And it's generational.
But that's what you were saying. You can't do that.
Exactly. You cannot do that.
Right.
My father tells me all the time, as well as my mom. My father has always said this. The way I was raised not just on a one-way street. I was raised on a two-way. When it comes to a woman's perspective and a man's perspective.
I like that.
Because for me, I've always been a fixer.
I like that.
So if I found out that somebody was upset with me, I wanted to find out why. So I could fix it. Now when it comes to a relationship with somebody, I'm going to sit down and listen to you, bro. But I have my opinion and I can still see your side, babes, but I'm not there, but we're going to talk this out. If I say that you're a nutcase, you're a nutcase, you got to go. But other than that, I can vouch for the relationships I did have, but I'm not going to beat you down. There are the men that I have dealt with or I have dated and been in relationships with that can still say, hi, Miss Barnes. Hello, Cori. What's up?
Right.
And they can vouch. They might have messed up, but my respect level to see, okay, brother man is doing his thing, he's doing this or whatever. I can still have a respect for you despite what you might have done. You apologize, fine. That's your way of apologizing. But that's not going to ruin my life in going to the next. And implementing my energy with someone, another black man.
And you don't want that relationship to go sour because
of stuff you didn't clean up.
Stuff that I didn't clean up.
Yesterday.
You can't do that.
That's the one thing that Tyler Perry always said that I always try to tell everybody is in Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Yes.
Medea told that woman, I forget her name, but she said, don't you go through another door before you close that first one.
Okay.
Like, don't you open up another door until you close that first door. So you cannot carry that stuff into a new relationship if you haven't dealt with it. My last question that I wanted to ask is, it's a two-part question. One, what can black men do? Because you did bring up a really interesting scenario of the fact that sometimes we don't know what to do in a certain situation because of what the cues are. Like, we don't know if you're going to get mad at me for intervening on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if intervening is going to maybe cause you to catch feelings that we weren't expecting. We don't know if intervening is going to get me shot.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we do to make the situation better? And do you feel like it's your responsibility to tell us?
Ooh, okay.
I think that we as Black women need to give the permission to the Black man of surrendering our vulnerability. Because, and the reason why I say that is because Black women, we might be strong, but we still do need help too. What I'm not happy about society is how they're making Black women look as if we don't need our Black men. I want my Black men. I love my Black men. My God, y'all are beautiful. I love you.
It is part of that.
But there's parts of me and parts of you. It's a yin and a yang. I don't have to fight all the time. Why do I have to do that? Why? If someone is coming against me, I'm a Black woman, you're a Black man, I'm gonna give you permission. I know me. If I'm feeling like, yo, bro, somebody come get him. For real. I need help. As long as we give that type of vulnerable permission and us not feeling like right now, well, we're begging, we're trying, can you help? Can you? But it's still a division because no one has given the vulnerable permission. As Black women, I feel like that is what is fine to do. It's not embarrassing. It's not saying that you're not independent. It's not saying that you can't, do things on your own, but you can't do everything.
That's just...
So when it comes to, the other part of the question, rephrase the first
As
part.
far as, like, if it's our responsibility, or if it's your responsibility to tell us.
Yeah.
I feel like, it is to a degree. It is. It's a half and half scenario. I feel that permission needs to be given, and then for the Black man, your ears and your heart need to be open to your Black woman, because you have to envision that woman as if she's your mother, as if she's your sister. That's the point. Because if you see someone maiming, hurting, hitting, pulling, talking at, yo, bro, I don't know, this dude at the gas station, I don't know, yo, bro, let's stand together, sis, what's up? This is like my mom. No, this is my sister right here. Nah. That's what needs to happen. But as Black women, we need to be vulnerable enough to give the permission. That's the point.
It's so funny. I tell this story a lot because it's hilarious to me. And I'm just going to tell it for the sake of this recording. So, back when I was younger and living in Plainfield, my father used to work nights. And I don't even know what we were doing that day, but it was me and my mom and my sister. My mom was driving the car, and me and my sister were with her. And she went to the gas station because the oil light came on in the car. And she goes to the gas station. Remember, the Shell station that's on South Avenue? No, you don't know what I'm talking the Shell station. The Shell station on South Avenue by the Walgreens?
Yes.
Okay. So it was mostly owned and operated by, I don't know if they were Indian or Arab, I don't know who they were. But we used to go there all the time. Never had any issues. This specific time we go, and she's getting gas, and then she tells the attendant, my oil light came on in the car, would you mind checking it? And he says, okay, no problem. She pops the hood open, he checks, and he says, yeah, it's low. So she said, okay, do you guys have oil? So he goes into the little shop area, and he comes back with this thing called Truck Guard. And we're in, I think, a Ford Taurus.
Right.
And so she's like, I don't know if that's going to be good for the car. He said, no, it's fine, it's fine. She's like, no, it says truck, we're in a car, I'd rather just get regular oil for the car. So he gets annoyed. And so he kind of storms off. He had already finished pumping the gas, and he already finished checking the oil. But the hood is still up. So she rolls down the window, and she says, excuse me, could you come back and put the hood down? He says, shut it yourself. And waved her off. She's like, excuse me?
Yes.
And he's like, shut it yourself. Said it again. So she was like, okay.
Grab my
She gets out the car.
Jesus.
She shuts the hood. and we drive back home. Mind you, my father is asleep because he works nights, and this was during the day. So she wakes him up.
Oh shit!
And he can see that she's upset, visibly upset, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And she tells him the story about what happened. Oh, for real? All of us get back in the car. Not just the two of them. All four of us get in the car. We drive back to the show. My father finds the man. He comes over to the car, opens the hood, and says, "You disrespected my wife. Shut this hood." "I'm not going to shut your hood." A black man is over by his car. Another black man is over by his car. So he was going on, "Man, just shut the hood." I'm not going to shut the hood. And my father was like, "If you don't shut this hood, there's going to be problems." So he's like, "Whatever." And then he shuts the hood. And we all get in the car and drive off. My parents are divorced right now. But I've never seen my mother look at my father in such awe before. Mm-hmm. And it was like, that's protecting a black woman.
Yeah, that is
what you're supposed to do.
That is.
You know, and I'm not saying that every situation is as dramatic as that,
right.
Nor is every situation as dire.
Right.
But there are countless things that we can and should be doing to make sure that our black women feel protected. And not just even in a relationship aspect, but I feel like even if it's just about speaking up, like say in the office. Like if you know that a woman is being overlooked for a position because of whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like I have written letters on behalf of some of my female coworkers because they didn't know what to say. And I've given them like, okay, here's what you can say. Because I know how to put on the spirit of Barbara Wyckoff and get shit done as a white woman.
I've done the same thing for, yes.
You know, and that's how we can protect each other. You know, we can go to bat when we see things that are being done that are wrong.
Right.
Even in the music business, I know that I've been in countless sessions where girls were asked to come by not because they can sing, but just because they're eye candy for a studio session. Right. That's happened in plenty of sessions from Atlanta to New York.
Right.
You know, and I've been in sessions where I specifically asked the girl to come in because she can sing, but then the people that are in the studio session with me are treating her like she's a piece of meat, and I've had to let them know, like that's not what this is. You know, so there's so many things.
In studios, and when I used to do those big studios, I don't need nobody else here. Let's just get the work done.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't need a bunch of people lined up being looked at as me. You know what I mean? Like, how does that enforce creativity? It really doesn't.
If you can't write a song without having visual inspiration, then you're probably not a songwriter.
Right. And then it's just like it's cheapening. And then those same women need to get up out those seats anyway. If you know that that's the purpose that you're there for,
right? Because
they know your value too as well. You know what I mean? Like that.
But see, that's the issue that I have is, can we say that? Because if we say know your value, they're going to say, well, why do I have to know my value in order for you to treat me with respect? Because that's the same thing as saying, if you don't want to get raped, don't wear a short skirt.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but at the same time, if you know that you're stepping into an environment that is an environment where you are being used for visual candy, or even if it's just like, oh, what's good with Shorty, and then you all up, boom, 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 and that female's now feeling uncomfortable, but now you wrapped around both of them, and it's like, you know what the purpose of why you came there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Know your worth. You can't.
Yeah.
You're now lessening.
I've been in that type of situation too. Photographers.
Photographers are
Photographers.
Right.
Videographers, artists, even people that have like workout facilities and things of that nature, studios. Because whenever someone says, yo sis, I see what you're doing, let's work together. And I'm there to work, and it's an empty place, and they got the key, but they want me on their knee. No, thank you, honey.
Yeah.
Then I gotta go because
know your worth and know your value.
And that's it. So you do have a right. I'm gonna just say this: any woman who is a woman, a woman would appreciate a man saying it because you're not saying it at her. A woman will know the difference when you're talking at her or when you are talking against her.
See,
put her down.
I have experienced the opposite of that, and that's the only reason why I'm a little like apprehensive about saying something, is because I've said something and it backfired. And it was in a situation where we were going to a studio. I'm not going to say names.
No.
We were going to a studio.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And we were going to a studio, and it was funny because the female that was with us recommended going to this studio because she knew the producer at the studio and wanted to connect us to work. This producer was married, and upstairs from the studio was his wife and children. Downstairs in the studio, the woman that brought us to the studio was completely flirtatious, sitting on his lap, whispering things in his ear, being very touchy-feely. And we were extremely uncomfortable because, again, the man's wife is upstairs.
Right upstairs.
And the thing about it is, we were told after the fact that the reason why he allowed her to do that to him was because she had been trying to work with him in the past, and he never gave her the time of day, and they had never actually met in person. Gotcha. This was everybody's first time meeting, but they had connected online and all that kind of stuff. And I guess he felt like, oh, she's a beautiful woman. I'm going to see how far this is going to go. She's recognizing he's got an opportunity for everyone involved, so I'm going to allow myself to be used this way and to perpetuate what's going on. When the outcome of the situation was, you didn't have to do any of that because we knew this guy was a buster from jump.
Gotcha.
After doing research and after experiencing him and the work that we were trying to get done that never actually got done because he didn't really know what he was doing, she basically used herself in a way that didn't have to happen. And after we brought it up to her, it was World War III. You're not going to tell me what I can do with my body. You're not going to tell me what I can do. If it wasn't for me, y'all wouldn't have this situation. But do you feel good after you cheapened yourself to make this opportunity happen? Do you feel good about yourself? And nothing even came from it. How am I supposed to tell you not to cheapen yourself and not to be taken advantage of this way? And I'm trying to protect you as a black man for another black woman from another black man. But then now you're telling me, mind your business.
But you know what? But that goes right back to what Cori said. Yeah. If black women have to give that permission, and but this idea of, and I don't want to speak for a black woman, but what I want to say, just in general, the idea of, I'm an independent woman. I can do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. This is who I am. And yes, all of those things are true. Yeah. But if we see that you're putting yourself in danger, or we feel that your worth is higher than what you're acting like, shouldn't it be my obligation
to say something?
To be like, yo, sis, I don't think that was a good idea.
Right.
Like, let me just talk to you. And it's not on me like trying to push up. No. I just want to wise you up on something real quick. That permission has to be granted. It really has to be granted.
But you can only grant that permission if you know your worth.
Because, but and then on top of it, then because if that permission isn't granted, then you can't complain if we don't protect you.
For you.
Exactly. That is the truth. Because everybody has responsibilities in their own actions and how they live their life. Everybody has responsibility because when you wake up in the morning, you get up on your own 2 feet, whether it's the wrong side of the bed or not.
And you choose.
You choose.
You choose how your day's going to go.
Yes,
you choose how you behave. You choose how you act.
You do.
And you have to be man or woman enough to take what comes with your choices.
You have to be a woman to do
that. You have to.
If you're not,
right,
then you're going to make foolish mistakes.
Exactly. But even like, okay, I'll give another example. We're not going to name names.
Amen.
Even though we know who the name is.
Okay.
But
no name.
Right. But with those who follow you on social media, might have an interest. You might have worked. You might have worked with them. So if they are following that person that you worked with, and it's someone that you know, and that person, myself, says, yo, bro, so-and-so's been watching me or whatever, he's been making a few comments, blah, blah, blah. What did you say to me?
I said, look into that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that your business is on tip-top shape, like I know it always is.
Mm-hmm.
But also, take into perspective that this is also a characteristic of this person,
Right.
to dip in and looking for the next girl for his arm.
Wow.
And
But that's stepping up.
and he stepped up.
Yeah.
Even if I had I've known him since, I've known him.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about now.
since-
Okay, I
You weren't supposed to be
didn't know.
sitting there
I didn't
listening,
know.
trying to figure it out.
I was listening, but the whole time, who are you talking about? Okay, I know now. I got you. Yes.
But
Okay.
y'all know me since diapers,
Yes.
so it's like
Oh my
having
God.
that made me feel even grand,
Mhm.
even more grand because of
He was
having
looking after you. He
you
was
in
looking
my
after
life.
Mhm.
So it's like bro really understands and he knows my worth and he knows who I am and what I'm doing. So he let me know, okay, it's for warning right there.
Mhm.
Hopefully this is, but
Right.
do everything, do what you gotta do, girl.
Right.
But you might want them panties. And I know you ain't gonna get
Right.
So I can respect and appreciate it. Did the outcome come as that? Yes, because I was noticing the pattern. I
Right.
didn't meet the person, but I noticed the pattern of
Right.
what the person was liking, what
Gotcha.
certain things he was saying,
Wow.
the schedule of things, of what he was doing
Right.
in my DM and what have you.
Mhm.
I already knew this is a joke.
You're gonna tell me who this is because then I'm confused after this is done.
So,
Amen.
but I said in the beginning, pretend to be
Y'all
setting up.
handled it.
Right.
So anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But either
Amen.
way, to the point of it all, I'm woman
That's
enough
crazy.
to respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're setting the atmosphere of what you've already walked through. So it's like, okay, sis, this is what it is. This is what's going to be. And it's the same thing for women. I do that for young ladies that I love, my
Yeah.
friends, my girlfriends. I will tell them, especially going into the industry, girl, don't get raped in the industry, meaning your worth
Mhm.
being raped. Not
Mhm.
physically,
Right.
but
Yeah.
your worth being raped.
Don't
Yeah.
sell your soul.
Exactly. So it's like if you're a professional classical dancer, classical
Right.
ballet dancer, and you do ballet, maybe with a little kink of, hip hop or jazz, that's what you're presenting.
Mhm.
If you're not right for that job, then you're not right for that job.
But something else is gonna come.
Right. But
Mhm.
don't go there and then it's like, okay, we can
And then-
twerk,
and
and then
mess
you
you-
fall into
And
that.
mess your whole brand up.
Exactly.
Right.
So what people miss, and I'm going to say it loud, what people miss
Say it.
are signs to fix and help your damn self.
Mm.
So if somebody's telling you and flipping the mirror to your face as a reflection, like, yo, you jacking yourself up, but you want to break the mirror and get mad at me, go ahead. But either way, from what you said to her
Right.
and what you said to me, the gratification is upon yourself and your resilience as a black man because you did do it.
Right.
Okay.
That's where you can't feel like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I was
tried.
not
Like
going
I
to.
tried, and
You
at
did
that
your
point,
part,
I
and that's
can't
it.
be
And
the
that's
dead
all you
horse.
can do.
Exactly.
Like
That's
all
all
I
you
can do
can
is
do.
tell you. I can't make you do anything. I
No.
can't
That's
all
make
you
you
can
believe
do.
in yourself.
Right.
I can't make you do anything. You have
Right.
to choose to do it. That's really good, and I think the ideal of
That's just it.
being vulnerable to give the permission, but also knowing your worth.
Yes.
Right.
Because and I have a mother and a sister that I love dearly, and they've been the ones to tell me that placing yourself into these compromising fireworks. Just
It's over.
no, it's
No,
not. It's not.
no.
They won't-
Don't sleep with the
they won't be
fireworks.
done until at
I
least
don't get
December.
it.
Right.
I don't understand this
Because we
fascination.
still got Labor Day coming.
I
Right.
think it's quarantine. I think
Yeah.
it just done got
Yeah.
to everybody.
But I have a mother and a sister, and they have both told me that, on one hand, yes, as black men, we need to protect our black women.
Mhm.
But as black women, we have to protect ourselves. And even though it's a necessary thing, it's a necessary evil, basically, but that also means to be aware of the situations that you're putting yourself into. That's why I played the devil's advocate by saying, that's like saying that, if you wear a short skirt, then you're asking to get raped. No, you're not. But if you have the forewarning and the foreknowledge to say, you know what, I know that if I keep going to this place and I keep being harassed by men that want to see me in these short skirts and I don't like this feeling,
Right.
Then don't put yourself
then
in that
I
position.
can't continue to put myself in that position.
But what I don't like is if they know that and then something happens later, then they want to play the victim.
And that's the sticky situation because, again, men should have enough self-control
This
to leave a woman the fuck alone, regardless of what she's wearing.
This is very true.
No means no in all aspects.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I just want to make that clear for y'all.
All right.
Like,
that's very
we are
clear.
not giving anyone the pass to harass anyone.
No.
Everyone should mind their business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you see that the sign on the lion cage says "Do not feed the lions,"
Right.
but you take your happy ass hand
Don't.
with the steak covered in blood juice
Okay.
and put it in the cage,
Okay.
and that lion rips your whole half off, you cannot get mad and sue the zoo.
I'll make it even more common sensey. We should have the perspective of, you know, if you call me and be like, yo,
But
we
you
having
did,
a
right?
party, we gonna have a party at such and such house. When I ask you who gonna be there,
Right.
right.
Exactly.
That mentality should go into every
Right.
scenario.
That's
of
also good.
Right.
who gonna be
Who
there.
gonna be there?
Right. Because
Do your
Yeah.
research so
Right.
you know what environment you stepping
Because
into.
you have to be
before
aware
you get
of your
there.
surroundings.
Exactly.
That's point blank period. When
Yeah.
I was coming up, my mother, to this day, I'm a grown woman. You know
Yeah,
what
I'll
mother
say
said
that.
to me today when she saw me?
What?
As I had on shorts and I had on a cute little top and I had my little sneakers on. You know, I'm mad.
Right.
She look cute. I have a mess.
Right. Right.
Because we got to do that.
Mhm.
But she was like, you look cute. You got something to wear after? You got a jacket?
Right.
So
Right.
before I, came here, I was just like, all right, well, let me put something on that's breathable, something cute.
Mhm.
So what did she say? She don't know where I was going.
Right.
But she was like, you look nice. Let me see. You got a jacket?
Okay. Just be on the safe side.
And my father was
'Cause it's
laughing.
hot outside.
Right. He was
Right.
laughing. He was like,
Right.
let the girl go. Let the girl go.
Right.
But you know what? It's about respect
And it's
because
protecting.
it's protecting. But I said in my mind, but man, you dressed like a whole genie back in the
I
70s with your
cannot.
belly out and the chain on the subway. And you about what I got on right now.
But you know what though? Like if you think about it, if you think about the whole, because that it falls under respectability politics, which I hate, because if you think about it, the same could be said about black men in general, because it doesn't matter what we wear, the cops are still killing us.
Right.
Thank you.
This is also true.
You know,
Thank
and that's
you.
the only reason why I still give the benefit of the doubt of men should still have self-control. The same
Yeah.
reasons
Oh,
why
of
cops
course. Yeah.
should be trained to,
Yeah.
disarm situations without having to kill anybody.
Yeah.
This is
You
very
know what I'm
true.
saying? So
Facts.
the same way that we want to be respected as black men, to be able to go out and walk around in life without fearing being killed,
Correct.
black women and women in general should be able to do whatever they feel and wear whatever they want without having to have the fear of being raped.
That's
But you
true,
know
too.
what's so crazy is that even when we do our shows, and the last couple of times when we were at Drum, I have to be an artist mentality. So I'm always around the room. The lucky thing is that I have two managers, and when I start seeing little stuff happening, and whoever is the team around, I will always go to either Mike or KP. Yo, can you just stand around the girls real quick because I know there's way too much attention on them.
Wow.
And I'll go do what you need me to do, but I need you to keep an eye on the girls because
Right.
we're not having that tonight.
Right.
That is protecting women.
Right.
And regardless of what they're dressed like or
Right.
whatever,
Well, thank
I
you.
don't want them to be harassed.
Right.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
let's
comforting.
rewind because but wait, but you know what's crazy?
I don't think you guys have ever known that that's what I do.
But you know what
Because
though?
I don't play that shit.
Can I say
don't
this,
play
though?
that shit.
You just opened my eyes to something
Mhm.
that I will now be conscious of
What?
because I've never even thought about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Being
yeah.
out and so this is almost like a subconscious way of how we can protect each other.
Right.
Or protecting you because I've never even
Always.
thought about that. It's always just been, oh, this is the crew and we just out having fun.
Right.
I've never felt the need to scout the room and see
To
who's
see.
giving them too much
Oh,
attention.
I always do.
I've never done that before, and now I'm going to be conscious of doing that.
It's-
Not to stop whatever you're doing
Right,
and
right.
having fun, but just to be
Right.
conscious of like, okay, that dude is way too close.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've never done that,
Yeah.
and I never felt the need to, and now it's like, okay, I need to do better.
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
Even when
yeah.
you guys were upstairs and you guys were changing and and the guys were trying to get like their one little things in the room, and it was like I stood up there.
Yeah, he did.
I was like, because I don't need nothing happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nothing happening. Number one, that's just not who I am. And number two, I'm gonna make sure I have you guys there. So I have to make sure that your safety is at high priority. You know what I mean? So
that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like,
see, that's what I'm talking about. That's the stuff where it's like, okay, if you're gonna say that we need to protect
brother,
y'all,
step up.
yeah,
right.
we do.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is like we need more of that, where it's like, okay, it can't always be the obvious examples of, oh, I now need to defend your honor and come in on a white horse, and nobody needs all that. Sometimes it's the little things, and sometimes it's the stuff that you wouldn't normally think of, but those situations do happen.
And sometimes even protecting our women can also be simply opening the door for that black woman, or if you see that somebody's having a little bit of trouble getting groceries into her car, help, miss, is it okay if I help you? You know what I mean? Black, I see you having a little bit of trouble, let me help you get those bags in that car. Right. That is protection.
Damn, I have another story.
That is protection. It was so funny. It was years ago, and it was this guy, and I never commented because everybody was saying everything that they needed to say on Facebook. And he was like, it was this one guy that, again, no names. He was like, he had just went to I think it was like Best Buy or something like that, and he had opened the door for a black lady, opened the door, and she went on through, and he kind of forced his way real quick and opened the next door just to make sure that, I'm just being a gentleman. That's just how he was taught. By the time he got to the second door, she was like, I mean, you ain't gonna get none, so why are you doing this? And when he wrote this on Facebook, he was like, and he said in his response, he was like, well, at least you could have said thank you. And they got into an argument about it. And he was like, so, and his last question at the end of it was, so am I not supposed to open a door for y'all now? Wow. And that started a whole thing. And so it's like, even on that perspective, it goes back into your statement of giving permission and allowing men.
Please expand on that.
Yeah,
please. I have so many thoughts. Oh my God.
I have a good story about that.
Okay.
So it's flipping backwards. Now.
Okay.
So I'm at 7-Eleven.
Okay.
Shell.
That damn Shell station.
Shell.
Yes.
Shell. So there was a guy, and evidently he was eyeing me down. This was before the COVID and stuff. So we were free, no mask.
Right.
No mask, no entry.
Right.
So I'm walking, and he was trying to holler at me or whatever. And I just ignore because I can't. So I went inside, and he's behind me, and he's just talking. And he was nice. He said, hi, how you doing? Da-da-da. I said, you know what, brother? I would tell you my name. I would. But the thing is, there's some things that I feel you have to learn. You see that door over there? I said, yeah. I said, it makes noise when you go in and out, right? He said, yeah. I said, so where were you?
Oh.
He said, what you mean? I said, let me give you advice. I'm sorry you lost and the ship has sunk with me to give you my number. But just know for the next woman that is a woman, if you open that door, the other door will open too.
Oh.
Wow.
So, guess what he did?
Oh.
He paid for what I had what I was purchasing.
Oh.
He said, oh, no, excuse me, wait.
You ain't gonna have me looking like
Listen, you taught me something. Put that. No, I'm paying for that. You paid for it. You want me to carry it too? I said, it's a little bit. He said, wait. You get the door. Whoa, yo. That door, you have a good night. Then he was telling everybody else, yeah, she told me what he do. So it made me feel good, but I wasn't going to be that chick.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, I get spoken to often. Fine. Black women are beautiful. We do. And there's some areas where I gotta be now. But brothers will appreciate it if they're not hearing the same thing.
Right.
So
because you came from a place of okay, black man,
Right.
I'm not gonna embarrass you in public.
Right. Right. Number
I'm
one.
gonna give you some knowledge.
I'm gonna give you this love.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna educate you real quick.
Yeah.
So you can do
be
better for the next one.
Right. So you can be a better black man.
I don't want you.
No.
Right.
But take these little tidbits on with
Right.
you.
So what you do with these gems is on you.
And
Right.
it felt really good. And it made
see?
me laugh when I
Right.
got in the car. But I was just like, you know what? I did something. This is before all this other nonsense is transpired.
Wow.
So to
No, that's
piggyback
dope.
off of that,
That's
it's
dope.
like, it's sad because sis never had that.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
She never had that. So she was already fearful and already
Assuming.
on
Yeah.
the fence, already had all of this, especially sis on that panel. That was
Right.
sis on that panel.
Mm.
Right.
That was at that door.
Wall was
Yeah.
up already.
Right. Right.
So for him to do that, it's like a black man can't be nice, sweet, genteel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If a black man, the biggest thing that I love, a great example, DMX, to me, it's always been hard. I've been always a little scared of him. But I love me some DMX.
I think everybody
That man
needs
can
to-
rap.
Yes.
But don't mess with him because he's going to get you. But I've always been a little scared. I'm like, Lord, if he with a woman, how does that work? But did you see the picture of him with his garden?
Yes.
No.
Yes,
in
I
this
did.
greenhouse?
Yeah.
No.
I took a screenshot. I was like, that's DMX. He's holding an orchid. Oh,
Wow.
and he was watering the way he held it. And he was, I'm like, wow.
Wow.
And they're blossom, they're beautiful.
Wow.
I'm like, this is another part of this beautiful man that I would have never thought existed.
Mm.
But there's a part of him that never was given the chance to express
To
that.
express it.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That is very good. Let's give some final thoughts so we don't
Wow.
have this turn into a 3-hour conversation.
Right.
This has been very good.
This is
There's a lot of
good.
tidbits that
This
I
is
love.
good.
Yes.
This is good. This might need a part 2 though.
Yes. No, I definitely think we need a part 2 because
Yeah.
there's some other subjects that we definitely want to talk about too.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we had this conversation because I really wanted to get it from a woman's perspective and from a woman who I know would not be biased as a woman, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can
Right.
you can still be woman enough to express yourself,
Yeah.
but then also be open-minded enough to understand from a male's perspective as well.
Right.
You said it's a two-way street.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Like that's what I
Love
can
that.
appreciate. So
Yes.
because I wouldn't have this conversation, I don't think, with a woman who's very closed-minded.
Yeah.
No.
Like
Yeah.
or a jaded woman. I don't know if I
Right.
could have a conversation with someone who's been jaded.
But I mean, I think that perspective should be here for a conversation like that.
I don't know.
This.
But I think that I would rather have it be from a woman like Cori to the jaded woman.
Yes.
Right, that's
And
what I
not
mean.
from a male's perspective.
Yeah,
Because
but-
there's nothing that I'm going to be able to say that's going to change her mind.
And
'cause
that's
she's
a
already coming with the
whole
wall.
nother
Exactly.
Right.
topic
Exactly.
in itself.
It could change her mind because it will change the respect of her approach to you
Okay.
This is very
and
Okay.
other ways of thought.
Okay. Okay.
Because you're gonna learn something from each
Each other,
person. Just
right.
like I learned something from his actions today, your actions
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
your actions. So it's like I didn't realize.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I feel bad, but it's just like, well, wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Because the whole thing of we're not all bad, it's not cutting it. We have to get to the root because we don't accept that from the cops, so we can't
Right.
accept it from ourselves.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, so
Right.
Wow.
we have to really
Wow.
find out what the root of
That's
these issues
good,
is and how
Right.
to really
That's
figure
good.
out how to do better.
Yeah.
And I want to do better. I don't want
Facts.
to walk around mad every time I hear somebody say that black man ain't shit.
Right.
I just want to find out why
Right.
Right.
and then figure out how we can change that narrative.
Right.
Right.
That's what this is all about. So thank you guys for talking with me and having this conversation. I'm glad we did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was amazing.
This was good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay! Bless Jesus. He's a wonder.